Anytime you start setting up a material for procedural shading, it's really important to just get your eyes used to what that material should be. Since we're starting with a marble tiled floor, I've done a quick Google image search for marble tile, and that's letting me look at some of these really beautiful options. We're not going to get as specific as things like this. We're not going to be doing honeycomb patterns. We're just going to be doing straight marble textures. So when I look at these patterns, let's go back here. When I look at these patterns, what I can see is it's not as straightforward as just a bunch of stripes. I've got these very natural looking veins in the stone pattern, and I've also got these little dots and flecks throughout it. And you can see that in pretty much every single one of the stone patterns you look at. There are always going to be lines or veining, and then blotches of color, and then also flecks. So it's not just one pattern that I'm going to be making, it's two patterns or three patterns. And the more complex you want to get, the closer you can get to the look of some of these beautiful natural stones. Also, just for the record, you see this one over here where I've got a lighter marble and a darker marble? That's the ultimate look that we're going to be going for. So just keep that in the back of your head. We're going to be going for two different types and colors of marble, and each one should have this natural stone look where there's veining and speckling and color blotches. So with that in mind, I will head over into Maya, and let me get rid of all of the tabs I made last time. I have a tab here called Floor. I will go ahead and make an AI standard surface node. I will attach it to my floor by selecting the floor and then right-clicking and assign material to viewport selection. This is going to be for the floor, so I will call it Floor AIS. And I'm going to start with a couple of nodes. The first one is going to be a checker texture, and when I make it you'll see why. It is because the checker texture generates a checkerboard pattern. So if I pump this from out color into base color, now I've got a checkerboard. Ooh! I'll just do a quick render of that. The checkerboard itself is pretty straightforward. It's got two colors. Color 1 is white, color 2 is black, and when I pipe it into my scene, what I'm basically looking for is, are the checkers the right size? So if you wanted to do really, really small tiles, you would come into the Place 2D and you would turn this up. It's 4 by 4, but if I went up to 16 by 16, now I would have really tiny tiles. And that can change the way people look at the scale of your scene too. Oh yeah, that little tiny black and white tile reminds me of like a 1950s bathroom tile kind of look. It's pretty neat. I'm going to set mine back up. Maybe I'll turn it to about a 6 by 6 tile. And that's going to be good enough for me. And the reason I'm starting with the checker is very simply that it gives me the ability to just start differentiating out a white marble and a black marble, and that's what I'm going to be doing. The first new node that I want to introduce you to is an Arnold node called the AI Noise node. You've already used the Maya Noise node. The Maya Noise node is just fine, but the AI Noise node is maybe a little bit more flexible. Me personally, I like integrating both of them into my designs because I think that they use different algorithms to produce their patterns, and by using both of them, I just get a little more diversity in what I'm doing. With the AI Noise node, I can adjust octaves to give me different bass patterns. So fewer octaves is blurrier, more octaves is a little bit sharper. But on top of that, even with a small number of octaves, I can adjust this scalar value here, and that's going to give me a nice dot pattern. So you may recall with some of the marbles we looked at, there were these big stretchy stripes. With some of them, there were even these like wave designs. I could start making those with the AI noise by scaling more in one direction than in the others. There's also distortion that I can adjust. There's lacunity. So I can get various really specific patterns in here without doing too much work. I'm going to start by making 2 of these. Maybe I'll keep these stripes and then I'll make a second one. And with this second one, I will use a lot of octaves. By the way, one of the reasons I've got this set to the Arnold viewer is that sometimes it just kind of falls behind what I'm doing. Each of the nodes has this little S button. The S button will solo in the material viewer so that I can see exactly what this node is doing, and that helps my viewport keep up with me. So maybe with this one I will just get this really nice big cloudy pattern. So let me undo the soloing and we'll move back and forth. This one is stripy, this one is cloudy, so let's call this one Stripe AI Noise, and let's call this one Cloud AI Noise. And if I wanted to be even fancier, I could make a third one. This one, again, we'll just put in a few octaves, but this one I will scale up in all directions. We'll do 12 by 12 by 12. Okay, good. So this one's going to be a dot AI noise. So I've got these 3 patterns. I've got my stripy one, my cloudy one, and my dot one. And I'd like to give you all a couple of minutes to just make a couple of these AI noise nodes just for yourself, just so you can play around with things like the distortion, the lacunity, and the number of octaves, and the scale, so that you can get a sense for how this works and how much control you have over it. In the next video, I will start putting these together in different ways so that we can start making those actual stone patterns. So take some time, adjust your AI noise nodes, and I will see you real soon.